of binding the enzymes or the cells to the matrix, which is my inert matrix. So yesterday we had seen cyanogen bromide activation, correct? Today we will be seeing diazotation, peptide bond formation and activation by bi or polyfunctional reagents. Okay. So again, I am presenting you my entire screen so that you will be able to see and understand. Okay. So today first we will be talking about diazotization. Diazotation. What happens in diazotation is some of the support materials contain amine, like for example cellulose or amino derivatives of polystyrene, etc. Now what we do is we subject them to a treatment which is called as diazotation. That is, we treat it with NaNO3 and HCl. So what do we do is we treat it with NaNO3 and HCl. Once we treat it, they in turn bind covalently to tyrosyl or histidyl groups of the enzyme when treated with NaNO3 and HCl. So this process is called as diazotation. Okay, so let us look as to how do we do it. So this is my inert material. Okay. Here is my R group RNH2. So here I'm going to have R dash NH2. Okay. So the inert matrix have to have an amine group for diazotation. Okay. Then we treat it with NaNO3 and HCl. So I have NaNO3 and HCl. So what do I get is a structure which is going to look like this. This is my again inert support. And what happened? This is my inert support. Okay. Sorry. Here, instead of RNH2, now we are going to have something which looks like R triple bond R and triple bond HCl minus. Okay. Now after this, I add my enzyme to the system. Okay, so this is my enzyme here. Enzyme. So what do I get is an attachment of the inert material to the enzyme using my amine group. So what do I have? Now I will have R N double bond N single bond enzyme. What basically we are doing in diazotation reaction is that we are taking in account the amine group of the inert surface and attaching it one more N or one more nitrogen here because nitrogen ka valency hota hai 3. So what I am doing is I am simply balancing the valency such that my Rn will have 3 bonds, 1, 2 and 3. My another N will have 1, 2 and the third bond will attach to the enzyme. Clear? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next reaction is peptide bond formation. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to form peptide bonds. Now, what all these kinds of bonds come under which category? This all
Covalent.
comes under covalent binding, correct? So, different types of covalent bonds are being formed. The first one was using cyanogen bromide. Second one is by diazotation, मतलब दो azo groups तुम्हारे inert surface पे बनाने हैं. Third is the peptide bond formation. Okay. So, how do we form a peptide bond? We can form peptide bond using the amine groups of the inert surfaces or the carboxyl groups of the inert surfaces, and then using amino groups or carboxyl groups of the enzymes. Okay. So, how will it look, or what is the reaction that we have to keep in mind is this. I have an inert support, then I have my RNH2 here. See, अगर हम RNH2 के थ्रू बॉन्डिंग कर रहे हैं तो हमारे एंजाइम का हमको कार्बोक्सिलिक ग्रुप लेना है. अगर हम इनर्ट सरफेस का कार्बोक्सिलिक ग्रुप कंसिडर कर रहे हैं तो हमें उसके साथ जो है एंजाइम का अमीनो ग्रुप रिएक्ट करना है, बिकॉज देयर चार्जेस विल डिफर. ओके. So now let us look as to how we can do it. So first, we will look at carboxylic groups. Okay. Excuse me, just a minute. Okay. So now I'm going to take R COOH, which is my carboxylic group. I react it with CH3OH and HCl. CH3OH is what? Yes, molecule कौन सा है? नाम बोलो.
Methanol.
Methanol, right? Methanol and hydrochloric acid. So I get an intermediate substance which is my RCOOCH3. RCOOCH3. I react it with hydrazine here. I react it with hydrazine. Sorry. I react it with hydrazine and add an enzyme to it. So where is my plus sign? This is my plus sign. This is my plus sign, okay? I add an enzyme here. What I'm going to get is a structure which looks like this, a straight line, okay, with a R CONH and then enzyme. Okay, so what we have done in peptide bond formation is this. Please remember, in case of peptide bonds, there has to be a peptide bond, right? NH होना जरूरी है. तो पहले हमने क्या किया, हाइड्रोक्सिल ग्रुप लिया, उसको CH3OH और HCl के साथ रिएक्ट किया, so we get a molecule which is CH3COOCH. Then we add hydrazine. Hydrazine contains amine group. Then we get an intermediate. After we get the second intermediate product, we are going to add an enzyme to it such that now we get a structure which is RCONH and enzyme. So there we have a carboxyl group and an amine group forming a peptide bond with the enzyme. So basically what we have done is we have attached an amine group to the inert support surface such that another amine group formed by enzyme can come and attach here, thereby creating a peptide bond. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there are certain chemicals which can be used to create bonds between amino groups of the enzyme and amino groups of the support. Like for example, we call it activation by bifunctional or polyfunctional reagents. So let us look at here. So activation by or polyfunctional reagents. Okay. Now, in case of activation by bipolar or polyfunctional reagents, the reagents such as glutaraldehydes can be used. But again, we have to remember that the substrate, the inert substrate, has to have amino group in it. Like for example, aminocellulose or aminoethyl cellulose or albumin or amino alkylated porous glass. So whichever surface you use for immobilization of that enzyme, it has to have originally an amino group. Okay. So what do we do is we take that we take that support, we add to it glutaraldehyde. Then after glutaraldehyde, we simply add an enzyme such that now we will have a structure which looks like this. So this is my inert surface, okay? This is my molecule of glutaraldehyde here, such that now my my inert surface has attached to glutaraldehyde like this. What is the formula for glutaraldehyde? CHO, CHO and CHO, correct? So what will my glutaraldehyde molecule after attachment to the enzyme look like? I have one CHO here. I have second CH and O here. And at the third place, I have my CH and enzyme. So what I am doing? I am directly attaching my enzyme here to this glutaraldehyde molecule here, which has been attached directly to the inert surface by the formation of covalent bonds. Okay. So in all of these four cases, what we have done is we have made covalent bonds using certain chemicals such that these all chemicals can then now attach to the enzyme, forming an immobilized enzyme. The speciality of covalent bonds is that they are more stronger as compared to van der Waals forces or hydrogen bonds. Plus, the damage that occurs to the enzyme is minimal. Okay? Clear? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the next type of bonding or the next type of immobilization technique is called as cross-linking. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going to cross-link the fibers or cross-link whatever substances we are going to use. Okay. So in absence of solid support, it is a characteristic feature of immobilization of enzyme by cross-linking. Okay. So now let us look as to how we can cross-link our materials. Okay. So what are we cross-linking? We are cross-linking the enzymes with one another using certain chemicals. Okay. Now what we do is we cross-link them using the polyfunctional groups which are present on the enzyme as well as in the chemicals. Okay, so the reagents that are used for cross-linking are like glutaraldehydes, diazobenzidines, or toluene diisothiocyanate. So what do we do? How do we cross-link? Is this. So what we do basically is we have certain enzymes in a system, right? Like this. So now they are free floating, correct? They are not immobilized. So how do I immobilize? Is I immobilize them by cross-linking. So I'm linking one enzyme to the next enzyme like this. I'm cross-linking this and say for example this. I'm cross-linking this here and I'm cross-linking this here. Similarly, I'm cross-linking this here. And say for example this here, or I take another bond and form it here. I take another one and make a bond like this. So what I have done basically here is that I have made a matrix of enzymes themselves such that now they will not be able to move freely. Clear? So my enzyme 1, enzyme 2, enzyme 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth are cross-linked with each other using a polyfunctional compound. मतलब ऐसा compound जिसमें के बहुत सारे groups जो है वो एक दूसरे के साथ bonds form कर सकते हैं. Like for example, glutaraldehyde. We have CHO, CHO and CHO. So what I can do, I can remove one O and one H and form a bond using C. So I have 3 C's, so I can make 3 bonds, correct? So when I use such cross-linking agents with these enzymes, the end result is a matrix like this, wherein my enzymes are now not able or are now unable to move freely and therefore they are immobilized. Clear? Now this cross-linking technique is cost-effective and simple because I don't need any extra effort or I don't need any extra apparatus for this cross-linking. So what do? I take a flask, I add my enzyme, I add my cross-linking reagent like glutaraldehyde or toluene, and I get a matrix like this. Of course, this matrix is microscopic, but again, or it is very thin film. So it is very delicate, but again the bonds are pretty strong, so there is no need to worry कि कोई enzyme जो है उसमें से free होके यहाँ वहाँ घूमने लगेगा. Okay. So these is all about all the techniques of cross-linking. Okay. Now we will look as to इन सारे टेक्निक्स में से कौन सा टेक्निक जो है वो हमको चूज करना है फॉर इमोबिलाइजेशन. सो द चॉइस ऑफ टेक्निक, कौन सा टेक्निक यूज करना है. Sorry. Now the choice of techniques will depend on few things, like for example, enzyme to be immobilized. So the choice of technique will depend upon the enzyme to be immobilized. मतलब कौन सा enzyme हमको immobilize करना है, उसका structure क्या है. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि हमने उसको से फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्रॉस लिंकिंग से इमोबिलाइज करने की कोशिश की एंड हमारे एंजाइम का स्ट्रक्चर ही चेंज हो गया, या फिर हमने कोई ऐसा क्रॉस लिंकिंग रिएजेंट यूज किया जिसके वजह से उसका फंक्शन ही स्टॉप हो गया. So therefore the choice of the technique will depend upon the enzyme that has to be immobilized. Then Second thing is stabilization. Stabilization of the enzyme, of soluble enzyme. This is one of the major criterias in choosing a immobilization technique because आपने immobilize करने के बाद वो enzyme जो है वो stable होना चाहिए. अगर stable ही नहीं होगा तो आपका जो end product है वो ठीक से नहीं बनेगा. Okay. So what are the different ways of stabilizing an enzyme? So not ways basically, what are the things that you need to know for stabilization? The first thing is the solvent stabilization. Certain solvents at low concentration stabilize the enzyme, while some have to have high concentrations. Like for example, अगर हमने enzyme को stabilize करने के लिए acetone लिया, तो 5% acetone solution चलेगा, या 5% ethanol भी चलेगा. Now, please remember these solvents are specific for the enzyme. So, your acetone or ethanol can stabilize benzyl alcohol dehydrogenase only. So, benzyl alcohol dehydrogenase के अलावा अगर मैंने कोई एंजाइम इस सॉल्वेंट में डाला तो वो एंजाइम जो है वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगा. Okay? So, for stabilization of soluble enzymes, you have to match the solvent system first. Then another way you can do this is by substrate stabilization. Okay, like for example, we can stabilize certain sites in the enzyme by adding their substrates. Like for example, alpha amylase. Now this alpha amylase is an enzyme which converts starch into glucose, right? So I can stabilize this alpha amylase by addition of starch into the system so that the enzyme remains stable. Or I can add glucose to glucose isomerase so that my enzyme, which is my glucose isomerase, can remain stable. Another way in which we can stabilize these enzymes is by using the polymers. Okay. So now, first method was by stabilization of solvent. Second method was by addition of substrate. And the third method is by addition of polymers. Enzymes can be stabilized particularly against high temperatures by addition of certain polymers like gelatin, albumin, or polyethylene glycol. Okay. And finally, we can stabilize these enzyme systems by the addition of salts. Okay. Now, why salts? Salts are used to stabilize enzymes which are basically metalloenzymes. मतलब उस एंजाइम का, जिस एंजाइम का कोर जो है वो मेटालिक है या मेटल है, उसको स्टेबिलाइज करने के लिए हम मेटालिक सॉल्ट्स यूज कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि कार्बन, सॉरी, कैल्शियम, आयरन, मैग्नीज, कॉपर एंड जिंक. Like for example, proteases can be stabilized by using calcium or by adding calcium. Salts of calcium like calcium chloride. Okay. Now, another way in which we can stabilize our enzymes, soluble enzymes, is by chemically modifying them or by doing the chemical modifications. Okay. Now, what kind of modifications? We have to search for certain modifications such that enzymes का जो chemical structure है वो change नहीं होना चाहिए, उसकी जो activity है वो कम नहीं होनी चाहिए. So, what do? We add certain chemicals, like for example addition of polyamino side chains like polytyrosine or polyglycine, or by doing acylation of the enzymes using propanil or succinyl. These chemicals will modify the enzymes in such a way that they will become stable. Okay. Then we have another way of stabilizing them, that is by rebuilding them. Rebuilding. Okay. Now what do I mean by rebuilding? Say for example, I have an enzyme molecule like this. So this is my original enzyme molecule. Okay. Or this is my native molecule. So what do? I have to rebuild it. So how do I rebuild it? The first step here is by unfolding it. So what do? I unfold it in such a way that instead of these, it becomes like this. Something like this. Okay. Now there are various ways in which we can rebuild a molecule. Okay. So now let us look at all the different ways by which we can rebuild the molecule. The first and the simplest way is by chemical rebonding or by chemical refolding. So what do I do in chemical refolding is, instead of the molecule looking like this, I will make it something like this, add certain chemicals and form bonds. Like for example, here I can form a sulfur-sulfur bond like this. So what my sulfur-sulfur is doing is, it is getting the molecule closer. I can add some more sulfur here. Such that now I have refolded the molecule. So जैसे वो पहले यहाँ पर खुला हुआ था, वो अब इस shape में बंध गया है using sulfur. So we call it as chemical refolding. Okay. Another way of rebuilding a molecule is by refolding in presence of a ligand. Sorry. Where did it go? So another way is by refolding it in presence of a ligand. Refolding in presence of ligand. Okay. Shapes. So what am I doing here is, instead of an open molecule like this, I am trying to close it in a particular way using a single molecule or a single ligand. So what do I do is this. This is my ligand molecule. So I will color it now so that it becomes easier for you to imagine. Okay, so this black portion is my ligand molecule. Now my entire enzyme has been folded using only a single molecule. Therefore, you can see there is a change in shape, and this change in shape can attribute to the stability of the enzyme. Another way in which I can rebuild a molecule is by refolding it at higher temperatures. Okay. Refolding at higher. Okay, now what will happen when I heat it at higher temperature? Instead of this shape, automatically it is going to fold into any random shape, and sometimes this randomization yields a more stable molecule as compared to the previous enzyme molecule. Correct? Now, why are we dealing with these choice of techniques for stabilization of enzyme? Because we have to mix these two techniques, that is immobilization techniques and these stabilization techniques, so that after we immobilize it, the enzyme will work. Okay. Another way in which we can stabilize the enzyme is by doing a site-directed mutagenesis. But this site-directed mutagenesis is pretty difficult, so we are not going to deal with it. Okay, it has been successful for certain bacterial enzymes. So what we do is we change its genetic makeup such that when the bacteria produces that XY or Z enzyme, its structure has already been changed so that it remains stable. Clear? Yes, no? Speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, please remember all these enzymes are produced using microorganisms. Therefore, when we have to do a site-directed mutagenesis, what we do is we change its basic genetic makeup, that is its DNA or RNA sequence, such that the end result is a modified enzyme. Clear?